This is CodeWalker. It's a new type of developer tool designed to actually show you how your code works. It can help you write better code, help you understand how existing code fits together, and even help you solve some of the hardest programming problems you'll encounter. With CodeWalker, you can actually see how your code worked. And today we're going to talk about that in more detail. This is CodeWalker Retrace. So grab your favorite gruel, kick back, and in about 5 minutes, you're going to know how to use CodeWalker Retrace. Retrace was designed on top of CodeWalker's Microscope mode. We're going to really quickly go over how Microscope works so you know what you're getting into. This is an overview of only the parts of Microscope that are relevant to Retrace. Microscope is the 2D version of CodeWalker designed to help you understand one file and how it works in detail. To use it, you simply open a file and CodeWalker will draw you a map. It's colorized so you can understand it easier. You'll undoubtedly see some repetition. That's because CodeWalker shows you your code as it is, but it also shows you how it fits together. Retrace is going to leverage this. So let's talk about what Retrace is for a second. For any given problem, we want to know 1. Where things are going wrong. 2. Other stuff. And we knew we wanted it to work like a movie scrub bar, but plot twist, CodeWalker supports languages and platforms ranging from embedded systems to web servers to phone apps to game engines. And not all of those use the same debugger or even the same language. Heck, some of them don't even have a debugger. What if you're only interested in a certain part of the data? So CodeWalker uses an extremely simple log file format. If your code can store data and save it out as text, you can use it in Retrace. Just follow this simple convention. Line number, tab or space, some text you want to display, and a line feed. And the best part is you have complete control over this. If a line in your code uses this simple magic function name, which we think looks like a little series of telephone poles, it's 5 T's stuck together. That line will automatically be hidden from CodeWalker's graph. And inside that, you can log anything you want. You can use the built-in tool to automatically create a variation on your file that uses this special function sprinkled throughout. Or you can add it yourself. Anything with that name, TTTTT, will be ignored. Then load whatever data you've logged and run your variant file with your program. Save out that log file and load both of them into CodeWalker. Now you can scrub forward and backward in your code. See this? This is hundreds of steps past the last point that we would normally debug. It's not working, but it was failing thousands of steps after the app started. Going through this with a debugger would have been ridiculous. Going through it with Retrace took a little initial setup, but we solved the problem almost immediately. Here's the working code from a few minutes later. We just scrubbed back and forth until we saw the problem and immediately realized what it was. While we're at it, you can obviously load 2 or more Retrace files at a time, and you can log data from multiple threads and walk through it like this. Ever had a race condition? Ever had a problem with threads overwriting the same data? Well, this right here is going to help you solve that. Speaking of threads, this is a really simple GDB app, but I want to show you something. You see this number? This is the thread ID of the task currently being executed. Now here's the fun part. We're doing all of this over GDB server over Wi-Fi. In this specific case, CodeWalker can actually parse GDB server logs with no additional steps. You just dump the server log into CodeWalker as the retrace file, and it will identify what thread is being used and just show you. So just save the log file with a dot and GDB somewhere in the file name, and CodeWalker will pick that up. So CodeWalker can help you diagnose and debug programs using something like a video scrubber, and you have absolute control over the data. You can slide forward and backward in time and see exactly how your code works, and it stays completely out of your way otherwise. You alone decide where it's going to be used, and you have sole complete control over the execution speed of your app outside of the debugging. And with CodeWalker, you can even debug multiple threads, even on embedded systems. As with everything else in CodeWalker, now that we can do this, there's a ton of other stuff we'd like to do with it. But we'd love to hear from you. What are some problems you're running into with traditional debuggers? let us know in the comments, and we may add that as a future feature in CodeWalker. So that's all there is to using Retrace in CodeWalker. As always, check us out on getcodeWalker.com for the free demo, or visit us on Steam. And tomorrow we're going to discuss the high-level 3D overview mode.